everyone, my name is John. In case you don't know me, welcome to Hascasts. Today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you how to install has.io the alternative way, that is on an existing system. This way you don't have to purchase a Raspberry Pi, and that means that you don't have to purchase even a $30 Raspberry Pi is $30 for something that you haven't got used to yet. You haven't tried it, you don't know whether you like it. You should like it, but just in case, why don't we try installing it on an existing system? Then it's free. Okay, step one. What I want you to do first is get a web browser up and running. Go into your favourite search engine, or should I say go into Google, and you need 3 pieces of software before we actually begin. First of all, we're going to install has.io on Ubuntu. So do a search for Ubuntu. This is the one that we want, ubuntu.com. Click on the download link. Now we are going to need the server edition. Download the latest version. At the time of this recording is 17.10.1. Click on download, download it to your downloads folder or anywhere on your system that you like. I've already got it downloaded, so I'm not going to bother. Next is Virtualbox. If you haven't heard of Virtualbox, what this does is this will allow you to run virtual machines, or virtual boxes if you like, inside of the machine, the computer that you're currently running. So in effect, we will have a standalone computer containing has.io inside our computer, completely separate and not sharing dependencies, things like that. Okay, so do a search for Virtualbox. It is Oracle VM Virtualbox. Again, click on the download link and choose whichever one you need. If you are using a Windows computer, then choose Windows, OS X, blah blah blah. Or if you wish, if you're using a decent Linux or Linux, however you want to pronounce it, distribution, and you've got your own dedicated package manager like apt-get, Pacman, or Yum, then use that by all means. Okay, the next piece of software, this one is for Windows users, and it's called Putty, P-U-T-T-Y, and this will allow you to SSH into the has.io machine as we obviously can't get physical access to the machine, as it's a virtual machine if you like. So just do a search for Putty, download it, and choose the one that you have. If you have a 32-bit system, 36-bit system, you get the idea. Right, next, what we need to do next is we need to start Virtualbox. It may be listed under Oracle Virtualbox if you're trying to look through your applications folder, start menu, whatever. Right, what I'm going to do is, as my face is in the way, I'm going to move the little penguin across there. Then I'm going to create a new Virtualbox. I will call it has.io. Type is Linux. It is Ubuntu 64-bit edition. Click next. Okay, I'm going to leave the memory at 1024 megabytes, a gigabyte. Then we are going to create a new virtual hard disk. We're going to leave it as Virtualbox disk image, and we're going to leave the size to be dynamically allocated. Okay, this is just the size. I'm starting at 10 gigabytes. Right, so create that. Then go into settings, and there are a few things that we need to change. First, go into storage, controller IDE, select the disk, and then over in Attributes, Optical Drive, select this one and choose Virtual Optical Disk File, and there we are going to navigate to the Ubuntu file that we downloaded earlier. Then we are going to go to Network and change from NAT over to a bridged adapter, and make sure that the network adapter that you use to connect to the internet is selected. I imagine 9 out of 10 times it will be, but you need to make sure. Press OK. That's your virtual machine set up, ready to install. Now what we can do is click Start, and that will bring up, our virtual machine with Ubuntu disk installed. First we need to select our language. Now bear in mind, once we click in here, it should come up with a warning, and the warning will tell you that once you click in there, auto capture of keyboard and mouse, that may be a separate warning, is enabled. What this means is that when you click in there, you won't be able to move your mouse outside of the virtual machine. I'm trying at the moment, it doesn't work. I can use my arrow keys to select the language, however I can't, for instance, Alt-tab to a different program, to a different screen. It won't let me. What I need to do is press my host key, I believe it's called. For me, that is the right control key. Once I do that, I can use my keyboard and mouse as normal. Don't worry, it will come up with a warning for you to confirm, and it will tell you at the bottom of it what your host key is. Anyway, right, click inside. I've now auto captured again. Select English. I'm going to select the default one, although we can't see it selected here, which is install Ubuntu server. How do I know it's selected? Simple. Press something down a few times, you can see it blink. So all I'm going to do is press up several times, more than there are options, and press enter. Now it will start the CD, and you will probably receive another notification from Virtualbox saying that it supports something. I'm not sure what it supports. The ability to move your mouse, which means if you have a web page that you need to refer to at the same time, you can do that. Okay, as it happens we don't. Right, so confirm that we're back in the Virtualbox just by using the arrow keys. My language is English. I'm in the United Kingdom. I will let it go through detecting my keyboard layout just to show you what that does. So click yes, and it's basically going to start with a long list of probably all the keyboards, and as I type in which arrow keys, which keys I have, it will narrow the list down until it comes up with the correct keyboard. I do have a Y. Press one of these keys. I have a W. I do not have one of those keys, or those, or those, or those, or those, or those, or those. I do have one of those keys, however, which is a pound key, a British pound key that is. So yes, it's detected it as Great British Keyboard, which is correct. So continue. about you? How's your day been? Good? Alright, what's it doing next? Detecting hardware. Let's get right, it's detected hardware already, that was fast. Detecting links. If you can hear funny noises in the background, that's just my chinchilla throwing his food everywhere. Don't worry about it. Okay, so now it's asking for a host name, and the host name I am going to use is has.io. Continue, and now it's going to set up a non-root user. And it's asking for my full name. The name I'm going to give it is has. Username. Right, the username and password that it suggests that we use on the alternative installation method on the Home Assistant website is to be more precise, username and password. Okay, so HA, and now it's going to ask for the password. HA again. Look at it in clear text just to make sure that I've got the right one. Press continue. HA again just to verify. I don't need to look at it in plain text because if it's not right it won't work. Okay, you've entered a weak password. Yes, I have. Do I want to use the weak password? Yes, because that's what it says to do. Okay, encrypt your home directory. I don't want to. Is this my correct time zone? Yes, it is. Detecting hardware. A very smart machine, I think. Okay, now on to partitioning the hard drive. I want to use the entire disk. Guided. Use entire disk. Confirm which one. Do I want to write changes to disk? Yes, I do. It obviously doesn't realise this is just a quick throwaway virtual machine and I can start it again if I want to. It thinks it's installing it onto a proper hard drive with all the relevant consequences that come with it. Right, so now it is looking up the sources. And I'm not sure what it's going to ask me next. Why don't we keep an eye on it and we can find out together. Yes, so my day. Yeah, my day has not been too bad, you know. Loads of pain, morphine. I'll cut that bit out. Loads of pain, loads of medication, loads of having to lie down, loads of having to lay down. I'm not sure which is correct. If you know which is correct, let me know in the comments below. However, right, back to the task at hand, which is installing Ubuntu onto our virtual machine. I'm just going to pause it here until it moves further on. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. Okay. Right, so I don't need a proxy. So I just press enter, leave it blank. Let me move a bit further forward. There we go. Okay, what I want it to do is I want it to install security updates automatically. I don't know how long I'm going to have has.io installed on this virtual machine, so just in case anything happens, any major outbreak of flu on the internet, I don't want my computer to catch it. Okay, now which services do we want to install? I want to install OpenSSH. That will allow me to SSH into the virtual machine and control it from my computer, which I like. Okay, right, so retrieving files, blah blah blah. So it's installing more software. Don't know how long it's going to be, so I will come back to you. Once it's finished installing. I feel like a nice cup of tea. 94%, we're getting there, 97%, come on. You can do it. Okay, so it's now finished installing. I believe what it's going to do next is ask about the bootloader, which is grub, or grub2, probably, to be more precise. Yep, installing grub bootloader, installing the grub2. Right, so it's installing that. It'll ask me if I want to put it on the master boot record. Yes I do. Yes I do. Now the installation is near enough finished. Once it's finished I can close the installation. It'll probably close itself. However, I don't need to go into the settings and remove the Ubuntu CD. It will think it's an installation CD, which it obviously is, and it'll do that automatically. Job done. Right, so it's still installing grub. Once it's done that, we can then go in, and then we'll have to install some dependencies so that we can install Docker. And then once we've installed Docker, skip that. Right, okay, so installation is complete. I want to continue, so press enter or return. Okay. So it is now rebooting. Just in case you missed it, it did go through grub. It asked us if we wanted to install, it asked us if we wanted to start Ubuntu, or I believe it's the init ramfc or something like that. He selected the right one, so there's no need to worry. It's now starting up Ubuntu. Once it's done that, it will go to the login screen. And now Ubuntu doesn't come with I believe it doesn't come with an enabled root account. However, our account HA is part of the sudoers list. If you don't know what that is, do not worry. All you need to do, type in our username HA, type in our password HA. It will then log us in. We are now logged in. Right, now we need to enter some commands. What I want to do is, excuse me a minute. What I want to do is I want to, instead of putting in the dependencies and the things like that straight away, I would like to do them on my own terminal, on my own computer. So I'm going to SSH in. To be able to do that, I need the IP address of the virtual machine, and to get that, the command is hostname dash uppercase I. as you can see, my IP address is 192.168.0.51. Right, so I can click outside, which will steal the focus away from the virtual machine, and I want to select my terminal, and I want to SSH into the username HA at 192.168.0.51. Did I say? 51. I did indeed say. It will ask me if I want to continue with this fingerprint. Yes, I do. Then it will ask me for my password, HA. Right, so I'm now in my own system. I can exit. Cancel. I can now close this machine down. I can now close this virtual machine display down, this terminal. However, if I do that, then I won't be able to gain access. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my terminal. I'm going to press Ctrl and D to log out. Then I'm back on my own computer. Back in there, and I'm going to type shut down now. That will stop the machine. Okay. Navigate to Virtualbox, and the arrow at the side of Start, click that. And if you're working along with me and you want to SSH in, then you can run it in headless state. If not, then there's really no need to go through all this. You could have stayed logged in. Okay. Right, let's minimize that. I'm back on my system, and I want to SSH in. It's going to take a minute or so for the system to boot. It's just that now that it's in headless state, it will boot inside Virtualbox, and we won't need to see it. So here we are. Let's see if that works. Yep. Password is HA, and that is it. I am now logged in on the virtual machine using my own terminal. Fantastic. Okay. However, if you are using Putty, then I will put a card up somewhere at the top of the video. I'm not used to cards and things yet, so I'll put a card up here on how to set up Putty on a Windows system, and then you can SSH in as well. You get all the good bits as well. Right, okay, so if I look down my list, okay, right, so the commands that we now need to enter. If you're not used to Unix system, Unix, Linux, Linux, whatever, then you have two sorts of users. You have a super user, root, and you have a normal user, HA. We are not allowed to update the system and things like that. In order to do that, we need to put sudo in front of the command that we want to use. However, to save doing that in front of all these commands that I'm going to show you, you can use sudo space dash lowercase I. It will ask us for our password, HA. Right, and now we are in the root account, which is good. So we need to apt-get update, and that will update the software on our server. Please don't worry about the commands that I'm typing in. I'm going through it here slow time. However, all the commands are listed in the description below the video, and there is even a nice code block which you can just copy and paste over, and it will do it all for you all at once. Right, okay, so apt-get update has finished. Now we need apt-get install. We want to install bash, socat, JQ, curl, avahi-daemon, apt-transport-https, ca certificates, software properties, common. Right, let me have a check. apt-get install bash, socat, JQ, curl, avahi-daemon, apt-transport-https, ca certificates, software properties, common. That's it. Okay, will be installed. Suggested packages. The following new packages will be installed. Will be upgraded. Yep, that is all fine. Do you want to continue? Yes, I do. Okay, so now it's going to install all of those, and then those are all the prerequisites for Docker. So now, once this is finished, we can go back. Okay, so I've figured out where I went wrong. It is apt-key add. Okay, right, yeah, so that has worked. And then apt-key fingerprint, and we want, in fact, what I'll do, as I've got the page up here, I will just copy and paste. Next, is this command. Right, so that should have added the Docker repository to our system. In order to use it though, we need to update, and yeah, we can see here that it's pulling in the Docker releases. Okay, so the next one is update, which we are doing. apt-get install docker-ce. And that will install. Right, if we look further down, we can see that on production systems you should install a specific version of docker-ce instead of always using the latest. This output is truncated, list, blah 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 blah. Okay, so do we want to? We don't. Well, I don't, because it's not a system that I'm going to keep. However, what I will do is I'm going to link to this page in the notes underneath the video so you can have a look, and if you decide you want to just install that one specific version so that it doesn't change, feel free. Right, now Right, now we need to install the has.io system itself. Again, it is another curl command. Don't worry about it, it will be in the notes. Right, so https GitHub user content.com Home Assistant has io-build master install has io install. We're going to pipe that through to bash. Let's see if that works. Don't know. I'm guessing not. If I control and click, then it should open this. Yeah, it can be reached. So I've got the page wrong. GitHub user content.com Home Assistant has io build master install has io. I'll tell you what. Why don't I just grab the page blob? That's what I missed out. Right, curl -sl, the correct page. Then we're going to pipe that through to bash. No, we're not. Okay. We're going to find the raw page and curl sl Okay, let's clear the screen so that we can see what is happening, and then we will bring down the has io install script and pipe it through to bash. Again, don't worry, you can just copy and paste from the description below. Okay, so it is working, it is installing the supervisor script. Right, let me have a look at my notes. That should be it. Well, not that, but it is currently installing correctly. It's created the symlink. Right, start services. Again, let's just confirm. The IP address. Right, these two here we don't need to worry about. It is this one, and this should mean that if we go to our browser, we should be able to navigate to http://192.168.0.51:8123, which is the default port that Home Assistant works on. Press enter. Just let me move my notes out of the way. Okay, preparing has.io. This can take up to 20 minutes. So I will stop the video here and then I'll come back once it's finished. Okay, and welcome back. Right, so for me it took about 5 minutes. However, I'm on quite a fast computer using solid state drives, SSDs, so it may be that it does take up to 20 minutes on your system. Okay, as you can see, we have a fully working instance of Home Assistant. When you first start Home Assistant, it will try to auto-detect certain systems that are already on your network. For instance, the Philips Hue. I'll go on to this one next time and how to configure things, but if I quickly show you around what we have got. We've got the overview, which is this. It's got the sun position, the weather. Go into the map. It has a map of your local area. Logbook. Nothing in there to be alarmed about. History. Has.io. This is where the magic happens. If I just expand. Maximize rather. This is where the magic of has.io comes into force. Right, let's have a look at the has.io add-in store, and there are plenty of things in here that using normal Home Assistant it is either moderately hard, quite hard, or quite frankly a pain in the rectal orifice to get going. But using has.io add-ins, we've already done SSH, so we've no need to worry about that. We can use the terminal. We can enable Bluetooth. We can check on the config. We can use configurator. Configurator is quite good. What this will do is it will allow us to edit our configuration files using a web browser, so we don't need to SSH into our system and edit the config files manually. We can do it over the internet, which is quite good. DuckDNS. This is definitely one of the future videos that I will be doing. DuckDNS is a DNS forwarding service, if you like. So instead of having the IP address, blah blah blah, you can choose your own domain name to a certain extent. So you could have hascasts.duckdns.org, and then you can type that in wherever you are in the world and it will go to your system, which is a fantastic system really. And as you can see, service with Let's Encrypt. If you don't know about Let's Encrypt, it's basically a free way. To secure your installation by adding SSL certificates, and it means that it's, as it says on the tin, it's encrypted, point-to-point encryption, and it's free. It used to be that this stuff cost quite a bit and it was impractical for home users to use, but as it is now, this stuff is fantastic. A mosquito broker. So quite a few of the components on Home Assistant use MQTT as their communication protocol. The most popular MQTT broker or server is called Mosquito, and this will just install it for you. There are so many things on here that are fantastic, and I will go through these in a separate video. In fact, I'll probably make it a YouTube playlist fact, I will probably make it a YouTube playlist so different add-ons can have different videos and then you can find them as you need them. Okay, configuration, you can edit several of your configuration files just from here. You can check your configuration, reload parts of it. This should come up as a valid config or valid configuration. Yeah, configuration valid, even better. You can customize your entries. This is another recent addition, but a good addition. You can basically choose to automate events in Home Assistant. So, for instance, sunrise, when the sun goes down, sunset, or minus one hour, so minus 1 hour, so an hour before sunset. If, let's have a look. Okay. Let's delete that. So an hour before sunset, I want to call this service. Let's have a look at what services we've got on a fresh install. I want to create a persistent notification. It might not let me because it prefers being copied and pasted in. So message, the sun is about to set. Okay. Let's save that. I haven't given it a name, but if we go back, have a look in our automations. There's the automation that we've just made an hour before. We want to create a persistent notification. I'll show you what one of those is in due course. The sun is about to set. It is useless, really, so I am going to delete it. We don't need it. These ones are developer tools, really, and I'll go through these in good time. So back to this. There is a welcome. There's the automation that you can turn on. There is a welcome screen. Configure Home Assistant. It's got the available components. Let's have a look at those. And if we have a look at all these components, you will see that there are many components, and what I'll do is I will put a link to the components page in the description below. Right, that's it from me. I think it doesn't take too long when you're not talking into a camera and you're not having to trying to take your time. So, how did you think it went? Have you got any questions about the install? Do you recommend any changes? Is there anything that you would do differently? Maybe you would add a graphical user interface to the Ubuntu, or you would use, or you would download the desktop version of Ubuntu so that you could use it as is. If you're a Windows user, maybe you want to try using Ubuntu while it's running. Has.io, at least that will let you know what Linux is like and let you know how inadequate, shall I say, the Windows operating system is, for me anyway. There's no way I prefer Windows. I can't use it. I hate it. Anyway, so caring is sharing. If you like this video, if you've gotten any value out of it, then give it a thumbs up. Once you've given it a thumbs up, if you like it so much, then please share it. Let other people know how easy it is to install has.io, and subscribe. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, then you can see all the upcoming videos, you'll get notifications, things like that. Okay, thanks a lot. My name's John, you've been watching Hascasts. I thank you enormously. Thank you, and bye bye. Enjoy the rest of your day.